Have you ever felt like you're just working harder than ever, but your income flat out refuses to budge past a certain point? Like, if you're stuck trading hours for dollars, you've probably hit a wall. Well, today on The Explainer, we're unpacking a really fascinating framework from our source material. It reveals the three absolute non-negotiables for transitioning from a grueling, time-intensive service job to a highly scalable online business. And spoiler alert, it has absolutely nothing to do with just working longer hours.
Okay, let's dive right into this. To give you a quick mental map for today's explainer, here is our journey. 1. The core bottleneck. 2. Get uncomfortably specific. 3. Package your performance. 4. Validate before you build. And 5. The 4-step roadmap. Let's get to it.
Section 1. The core bottleneck. So a lot of brilliant experts out there mistakenly think they're stuck because they either lack expertise or, they just aren't hustling hard enough. That's the big myth right there, that scaling up requires more hustle, a totally transformed mindset, or this massively bigger audience. But let's be real, hustling more inside a flawed system, that just leads straight to burnout. The reality requires a complete paradigm shift. Crossing that six-figure threshold and scaling well beyond it really comes down to three absolute non-negotiables. The source material makes it crystal clear. If you're missing even one of these, you're going to stay stuck, no matter how hard you work.
It actually all boils down to a super simple equation. Expertise multiplied by a scalable model equals 6 figures. Think about it. You can have absolutely extraordinary, top-tier knowledge in your field, but if your delivery model requires your constant time and your physical presence to execute, you're never going to have a scalable business. Instead, you're just going to have a really demanding, highly stressful job. No amount of raw expertise can fix a broken delivery model. You've got to balance both sides of this equation if you want true growth without totally burning yourself out.
Section 2. Get uncomfortably specific.
When experts try to grow, their very first instinct is almost always to cast a wider net. But trying to speak to everyone, it actually just confuses the algorithm and your content ends up landing to absolute crickets because you attract no one. There's this incredibly powerful concept here. Broad equals broke and precise equals profits. I know, shrinking your market feels completely counterintuitive. It feels like you're just limiting your options, right? But what's really happening is you're becoming the absolute most relevant solution and a deeply magnetic authority for a very specific group of people who desperately need exactly what you do.
So how do we fix a vague message? The framework introduces what it calls the transformation statement. It's just a simple one-sentence formula. I help X go from Y to Z so that result. The source material gives a really fantastic, concrete example of this. Imagine saying, I help burned-out ICU nurses transition into health coaching practices without taking a pay cut or starting from zero. Wow, right? That level of precision is incredibly sharp. It immediately signals to the exact right people that you are specifically there for them, cutting right through all that endless online noise.
Now, if you're wondering if this actually works in the real world, check out this case study of Julia, a body image expert. Julia didn't go out and buy some shiny new marketing course, and she actually had zero ad budget. Zero. All she did was pivot her messaging to speak clearly and directly to her exact ideal client avatar. And just by doing that, her closing rate literally skyrocketed from 22% in January to a whopping 50% in March. That, right there, is the true profit power of precision in action.
Section 3. Package your performance. So many experts end up getting completely capped by their own finite calendar. They're highly skilled, they get heavily rewarded for delivering results in a one-on-one session or a consultation. They rely entirely on performance. That's the mindset of, I deliver the transformation when I show up. But honestly, that's just the exhausting job of trading hours for dollars. The shift to a highly scalable business requires packaging. This mindset says, my system delivers the transformation whether I am there or not. You're basically taking your methodology and packaging it into a curriculum that can serve multitudes without requiring multiples of you.
Now, what's really interesting here is this concept of the Profitable Offer Prototype, or POP for short. And this should relieve a ton of pressure for you because it means you do not need a perfectly polished, finished program before you actually launch. A POP is simply the bare bones, unpolished version of your program. You just deliver your core methodology live to a small group, you get paid, they get results, and you collect priceless real-time feedback to refine your system as you go.
The ultimate potential of packaging your knowledge, it can be absolutely staggering. We're talking scaling to nearly $2 million, which is exactly what happened with Mike.
Mike was a restaurant operator and absolute master of his craft. But instead of just consulting one-on-one forever, he packaged his expertise into a program specifically for other restaurant owners. His members implement his pre-recorded methodology, they get massive wins, and the best part, it doesn't require Mike to actually be in the room. This packaged methodology totally compounds his effort, letting him reach hundreds more people than his columnar ever could have possibly supported.
Section 4. Validate before you build. Okay, it is such a painful trap to spend months building a gorgeous website in this massive program in total isolation, only to find out nobody actually wants to buy the thing. I mean, you can't build the whole airplane and then just pray that it flies, right? To avoid that disaster, the source material highlights the really counterintuitive story of Nikki. Nikki left her career as an attorney to become an animal communicator, but before building anything, she sat down and had 50 conversations with potential clients. And get this, she didn't ask them to buy a single thing. She prioritized deep curiosity and listening way over immediate creation.
So, what did she ask? According to the research, using these specific market research questions accomplishes two really vital things. Nikki asked, "What's your biggest challenge right now? What have you tried that hasn't worked? And what would it mean if this problem was solved?" First off, these questions validate that actual demand really exists. And second, they literally hand you the precise language your ideal clients use. So when you finally do build something, it feels to your clients like you are totally reading their minds.
And because Nikki took the time to listen first, she generated a massive $86,000 in just 2 months. Crazy, right? And she did this with a very small, targeted audience. Her launch didn't feel pushy at all because it felt like a completely natural continuation of those earlier conversations. When you validate before you build, your marketing transforms into a two-way dialogue instead of a one-way pitch, and it practically writes itself.
Section 5. The 4-step roadmap. All right, synthesizing all these pillars gives us a really clear chronological roadmap. Step 1, get precise. Define exactly who you serve and craft that transformation statement. Step 2, validate. Have 20 to 30 real, genuine conversations with ideal clients before you build anything. Step 3, build your POP. Deliver the bare bones methodology live and gather that feedback. And finally, step 4, systemize and scale it into an evergreen asset. A resource that sells and delivers automatically, working for you around the clock. But keep in mind, the sources strongly emphasize that skipping any of these phases or doing them out of order almost always leads to starting over and losing incredibly valuable time.
As we wrap up today's explainer, I want to leave you with a bit of a provocative question to spark some self-reflection. Which of these 3 missing pieces, a lack of precision, an unscalable delivery model, or building without validation, is currently capping your own business growth? Because look, the expertise is already there. You have that. Thanks so much for joining me on the explainer. Until next time, think about how getting uncomfortably specific might just unlock your next level of growth.